first and foremost, the planning, leading up to the game, analysing Chiefs, and we know that so far this season they've actually been a very, very good team, difficult team to beat. I think they're a rejuvenated team, and they're playing a lot better football than what they did in previous seasons. So we knew this game was going to be extremely tough, but we came with a game plan. We worked on it during the week, and I felt, when those moments came, we took the opportunities. We knew that there was going to be a lot of time that we would have to suffer, we'd have to work hard, but the most important factor was, dealing with it and coming through it, the difficult moments, and then utilizing the opportunities that you create. And I thought Bradley was outstanding tonight, not only because of the 2 goals that he scored, but also obviously because of his aerial ability and winning headers, and then combining and finding other players. So on the transitions, we always looked a threat, and they struggled to deal with us. So very proud of the boys, because everything we've done in training came out on the pitch today. And as I think I've said this to you guys before, most times that's how I judge myself as a coach. What we do in training, are we transferring it onto the field? And I felt we did that this evening.
Thank you, Coach. Members of the media, it's your turn. Please, your name of your publication, and direct to the question, and the coach will do the rest. Roll Mike.
Coach Lorenzo with the Sundowns. Now it's very early, but are you and the club starting to think?
No, I think it's still very early days. It's only 6 games into the league. There's still a very, very long road. And I warned the players about complacency, because we started well. We got 13 points from our first 5 games, but now I understand. You're a target, and you're going to have to raise your level. You're going to have to work even harder than what you did in the first cycle. We're going into a second cycle of 5 games. Now, can we maintain? Can we be consistent? Can we produce the same performances? Can we have the same energy, the same intensity, the same desire, the same work ethic, the same determination, the same sacrifice? And I gave them the example of Sundowns. They won the league 8 years in a row. You think that's hard? You think it's hard now because you've won 5 games in a row? No. Try and win the league 8 times in a row, and you'll see how much sacrifice you have to make. So I think the message was loud and clear for us to ensure that we came out here and put on a good performance.
Thank you.
Coach Ntsako from ENCA. You speak about planning in the week. I think Bradley wasn't available for most of that as he was ill. Just again on that performance tonight, and what are you doing or saying to him just to keep him motivated even at his age?
Yeah, we film our sessions. So even though Bradley wasn't at training because he obviously had a chest infection, we showed him the clips from training, what we were planning and what we were intending. And also for Brad's a seasoned pro. He's not someone who still needs to be developed and learn. His tactical prowess is very, very high. So not difficult for him to understand the game plan. And he proved that tonight,
Good evening, Coach. Nick Gleason for Page Media. You've had 3 different goalkeepers start this season. Is that a matter of rotation or injury, or what is the rationale behind?
I think ultimately Toaster is the Zambia first choice goalkeeper. He was someone that we signed at the beginning of the season. We struggled to get his work permit, and for that reason Toaster didn't start, and Ronaldo started. Sapunga was someone else who joined us at the beginning of the season. from Polokwane, but spent a long time without playing. And Ronaldo obviously ended off last season very, very well. But in reality, my first choice would have always been Toaster. Now he got his work permit, so he comes into the team.
Coach Benjamin Miranda here. Coach, I once spoke to you. We spoke about it still being early for people to count Sundowns out. But Sundowns came here and they got a draw. You came here and you got a win. Is that a barometer to judge yourself to say you are in the right path to fight for the league this season?
I think we're on the right path, definitely on the right path because of the results that we are achieving. But everybody spoke about Sundowns being poor, but Sundowns a couple of hours ago were sitting top of the league. That's just the fact. We've all got to compete against Mamelodi Sundowns, even when they go through a rough patch. But that rough patch, it's not a rough patch because ultimately, normally they would achieve 12 points out of 5. They achieved 11. You know, so to say that they're going through a bad spell, I find that difficult to believe. They've got a lot of quality, and I still think they are firm favourites to win the league because of the depth that they have in their squad. So the rest of us, our job and my job as a coach is we want to close that gap. That's what we want to do. That's the objective that I said at the beginning of the season, is that can we close that gap? Can we ensure that we start collecting more points to make life a little bit more difficult for Sundowns? But you know, I think it would be very, very premature for me to be saying, yeah, we're going to compete for the league. It's only 6 games in, and a lot of things can happen in a short space of time.
Coach Shubele here from the same squad. Congratulations on the victory. Can we talk about how you've transformed this team tactically? And because after you considered, we saw you not more on the ball, but using your moments and the ball effectively. And what do you spot about this Chiefs team? Because you were attacking them right at the heart of the defense.
Yeah, I think today what was important was our penetration. You know, and that was something that I've been speaking about since the beginning of the season. After analysing ourselves, the amount of opportunities that we are creating in matches, majority of those opportunities are coming through the penetration that we create. And I think you all have heard about XG. And, you know, our last couple of games, our XG has been just over 2.1, which is quite a lot, you know, and prior to that it was 1.6, 1.7, which is really, really high. So it means we're doing the right things, just not getting on the end of them. But today we got on the end of those penetration passes and those runs in behind, which caused them problems. And like I told you before, this is something I've been working on quite extensively in training. So to see it come off today was pleasing.
Good evening, Coach. Coach, you came into this game, Kaizer Chiefs played 5 games without conceding any goals. Were there any strategies that you used to unlock their defense?
Yeah, it was that, what I just mentioned, the penetration. You know, Chiefs like to play this very, very high line. And because of that high line, they can be punished, you know. So we punished them today because they gave us space in behind.
The last one, and we will get the next coach. Here is Shaba here.
Sports coach, congratulations on the result. I mean, you've got one of the most experienced squads in terms of the players that you have. I mean, even some of those who are injured, the likes of Mtambo, captain, and Grobler, Monare, all of them. What does it take for you to have more leaders on the field of play, and how helpful is it for you to know very well that the experience that you have in your squad, I mean, even when you did the subs now, you introduce players, senior players, who know how to do this. How much of an advantage is that for you as a coach?
I think it's very important that, irrespective of that, they are the senior players and they've had long careers. I think coaching has evolved. You know, it's no longer coach-centered, it's more player-centered. It's about giving the players that responsibility and giving them that ownership. You know, and I think that's what we've created. At the club, players feel that sense of responsibility, they feel that sense of ownership. And I'm not a dictator. I like to sit with the senior players and discuss the tactics and the plans so that they have a buy-in and an understanding, you know. And it obviously helps when you have players who've had, as the players you've mentioned, Linda, Monare, Miguel Tim, Bradley Grobler, you know, they all, Danny Cardozo, they all come from success at clubs, you know. So now it's about feeding off their knowledge as well as my own. Do you understand? And then passing it on to obviously the rest of the squad.
That's Coach Tinkler. Congratulations. Babina.